Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for the new Game of Thrones trailer number 2. This video is where I analyze trailer number 2 to explore how it affects the predictions I made for Season 6. Now, this is a bit confusing as I referred to the alternate version of the first trailer as trailer number 2, but HBO is officially calling this trailer number 2, so I had to retroactively change my video earlier to call that trailer 1B. But whatever. Here's the new trailer and it's fucking awesome. But before I get down to brass tacks, I got to give my standard spoiler warning for Game of Thrones up to Season 5, as well as a spoiler warning for filming and production leaks for Season 6. If you don't want to know anything about what's been confirmed for Season 6, then you may not want to watch this video. So before I go and analyze this trailer scene by scene, there's one thing I need to get out of the way first thing, and that is, yes, it looks like I was wrong about Tyrion releasing the dragons, because that does now look to be a very, very strong possibility, but I'll get more into that later. So the first images we get from the trailer are at Castle Black, and this is from the extended clip that was aired on Conan O'Brien, where we see Davos in a room with Ghost and Jon Snow's body fighting with a bunch of Night's Watchmen against Alistair Dorne and other mutineers who are trying to break the door down. And if you don't know what clip I'm talking about, you should like my Facebook page, as I posted a link to this video on my Facebook page. Either that or just simply YouTube search it, either or. Next, we see flashes of Jon Snow's dead body, and then Tormund, with Tormund saying, "I thought he was the one to lead us through the long night, but I was wrong." So this is obviously Tormund before Jon Snow's resurrection. And then we get a shot of this tower, which I have no idea what this is. Someone in another video will probably point this out, or maybe in the comment section, but I can't figure it out. Is this Meereen? I don't know. In a voiceover, I'm not sure who is saying, but it says, "Do you like games, little man?" And then we see a clip of Tyrion walking down the throne steps in Meereen to a group of Meereenese nobles. So I must assume the voiceover comes from one of these Meereenese nobles talking to Tyrion. Either way, I think this is what I talked about in my prediction video about Tyrion playing games with the Meereenese nobles, much in the way he did in King's Landing in Season 2, and I cannot wait to see this. Next, we see a few shots of Jaime confronting the High Sparrow, where the High Sparrow says, "Oh, you would spill blood in this holy place." And Jaime says, "Oh, the gods won't mind. They spill more blood than the rest of us combined," which was so awesome. So I had to assume this is from when Jaime goes to confront Baelor Sep with the Tyrell forces, and this is Jaime parlaying with the High Sparrow before Tommen and Margaery actually come out and show that they're devoted to the faith. Either way, this looks tense. And it shows Jaime isn't going to take any shit from the High Sparrow. But during the voiceover, we got a few more images. One is of Melisandre, and the next is of a woman's hand as she looks into a fire. Now, in my first trailer video, I said this was Melisandre's hand, but I got a lot of disagreement, people thinking it was Daenerys because you can see her ring. But this trailer makes it seem like it's Melisandre, as they go straight from a Melisandre image to this image, plus the thingy, I'm not sure what it's called, but the fireplace thingy that the fire is in. It looks very remarkably similar to the one Melisandre always looked in at Dragonstone, so that's why I thought it was Melisandre in the first place, and I still think it's Melisandre, but I could be wrong. So next we see an extended shot of what we saw in what I'm now calling trailer 1B, with Drogon flying over the Dothraki. I wasn't sure last time whether this was before or after the Dothraki became devoted to Daenerys, but now I think this is definitely before, as you see the Dothraki looking up in surprise at Drogon's approach, so I'd say this is probably the first time that they're seeing him. A cool shot of Bran under the weirwood tree with white eyes. I think this is him having a vision and using his green sight rather than warging, but I could be wrong. Or he's warging into the tree like he did in Season 4. That sounds reasonable too. And then we get some clips with Arya and Jaqen H'ghar with a voiceover from Jaqen saying, "Oh, the girl has been given a second chance. There will not be a third." Which is interesting because it's remarkably similar to what Rand said to Ellaria Sand in Season 5, but I'm sure it's just similar to all. At any rate, I think this voiceover comes from after Arya regains her sight and Jaqen warning her not to cross them again. And in those clips of Arya, we got a brief flash of Daenerys being stripped naked. I don't think she's being assaulted here. I think she's either being bathed or examined or something like that. Either way, they did look kind of hostile. So next we get a cool little Sansa montage where her voiceover says, that's all I think about, what's been taken from me. And this cool picture of her where I'd say the soldiers behind her are supporting and protecting her, and she's dressed in some pretty fancy Stark garb. Now Sophie Turner has been giving a bunch of interviews where she said that Sansa was going to be really badass this year and be a real powerful player in the Game of Thrones, and I'd say she really does look it in this shot. But during the voiceover, they also show her enemies who took things from her. First we get a shot of Ramsay, and then more interestingly a shot of Walder Frey at the twins. Now this is really interesting because someone just asked me yesterday what I thought Walder Frey would be doing this season. I didn't know, but after this brief shot I have an idea. As you see him toasting, and then you see who he's toasting, and it's a bunch of Lannister soldiers. So my guess is the Lannisters go to the twins in preparation for the siege of Riverrun, and the Lannisters and Freys march on Riverrun together. So I think Walder's appearance in season 6 will be brief, and he'll just be in these few scenes when the Lannister forces briefly stop by the twins on their way to Riverrun. Next to Walder you see Black Walder, and on his other side you see someone who I must assume is the new Frey we heard about who was being cast in season 6, and I think he's the one who will accompany Jaime to Riverrun and lead the Frey troops there. So I looked in the shots of the Lannister soldiers and I couldn't see Jaime in there, but I'm sure he has to be there somewhere. He probably just isn't in that room because he doesn't like Walder, so he isn't keen to celebrate with him. A slightly extended shot of Littlefinger in the snow, but you still don't really know who he's talking to or what's going on here, so not much to say about it. Then the voiceover of Jorah saying, I know what happens, where he's looking at his grayscale and it's grown quite a bit. However, I don't think this is him confessing his grayscale to anyone. I still think it goes unnoticed because I'm adamant he needs to make it to Westeros before anyone notices it in order to fulfill John Connington's role from the books. So then we see Marjorie hugging someone who I assume is Loras in captivity. They both look pretty gnarly. And the Davos voiceover with him saying we have to fight. And then they show him gearing up for a battle of Winterfell that we know he's going to be at. And then we see Tyrion and Varys in the Meereen's throne room with a Red Priestess. However, this one looks more like Melisandre. This wasn't the one we heard about from casting leaks. And we've seen photos of that other Red Priestess on set. And, this one is white. So, who is this woman? Has she been recast, or is there multiple Red Priestess in Meereen? I don't know what's going on here. And then we get a shot of Pike with the same shot of Euron on the bridge that we saw from the first trailer. Then the voiceover from Cersei saying, stand at the head of our army where you belong. Show them what the Lannisters are and what we do to our enemies. And then a shot of Jaime riding his horse through the Lannister tents at the siege of Riverrun. Now, I have to assume Cersei is talking to Jaime here, and I think she's encouraging him to go to Riverrun and head the Lannister forces, which is surprising because I thought Jaime and Cersei would be on the outs. I suppose I could have been wrong about that. And we get an extended Tower of Joy fight scene where this Targaryen soldier, who may be Arthur Dayne, kills a Stark soldier. Then a shot with Cersei and Tommen together, then the High Sparrow in his little chamber, but that's followed by the shadow of a man being killed, and then Robert Strong turning his head sharply. So I gotta think that the shadow was Robert Strong killing a sparrow, but I could be wrong, but we'll get more into that later. Here's Yara Greyjoy, and then a different angle of Jaime leading the Tyrell forces to Baelor's Sept. So next we get a voiceover with Davos saying the real war is with the living and the dead, and make no mistake, the dead are coming. And we see this cool new shot of the Night King and several White Walkers on horseback, but more interestingly, we see Davos speaking these words, and he appears to be in a hall of a castle, and behind him is clearly the sigil of House Mormont. So apparently he's on Bear Island. So I think Davos is working with the Stark loyalists in order to recruit more houses to his cause, and he seems like he's really devoted to fighting the White Walkers now. I suppose that's what Stannis' ultimate cause was, and now that he's dead, he's going to carry that on. So we can see Davos working his magic because he's like able to convince anyone of anything. Plus, this goes along with my prediction that the Stark loyalists would use the incoming threat of the White Walkers as a selling point on why they need to overthrow the Boltons so that the North can stand up against the White Walkers united. And we get more shots of the White Walkers charging into a fire. I am still not sure what this is all about. And once again, we see the shot of a guy on horseback setting another guy on fire. Now, it's become quite a popular theory that the man is Cold Hands, but I maintain that that is wishful thinking, that Cold Hands will not appear in the show ever. I'd say it's probably a wildling setting a white on fire, but that's just my guess. We can't really tell from this brief clip what is actually going on. Then we get a couple of brief flashes we saw in the previous trailer, like the ships in the storm, Yara making out with another woman, but we finally get a first look at Sam, but it doesn't really tell as much. It's just Gilly consoling him. The Blood Raven, Tormund and the Wildlings fight at the Battle of Bastards, Sansa looking more badass, Arya getting her ass kicked by the waif but fighting back, Ramsay with his Bolton men at the battle firing arrows, the Sons of Harpy killing people, still don't know what that's about. Now here we see Brienne and Podrick, and this time we can clearly tell where they are, as that's the Tully sigil in the background. So they're at River Run. But since it's the Tully sigil, does that mean they are inside River Run? So are they actually already inside before the siege happens? That would be really interesting. A sparrow getting killed, and I can't be certain, but I think that's Robert Strong doing the killing. The armor makes it look kind of like Jaime, but I don't know, Robert Strong would make a bit more sense. And Drogon flying. So before I get to the Tyrion stuff, let's look at a few more images that flash by really quickly. Here's the Wildling forces at the Battle of Bastards encountering a Bolton force with large shields, and they look pretty outnumbered. Then Podrick at River Run being attacked from behind. Now I think that that's Bronn, and he's either doing it as a joke or to protect him. Either way, I don't think he means him any harm, and I don't think Podrick is in any danger in this scene. Here's a shot of 1-1 breaking down the gates of Castle Black. Mirror looking up. Not much to say about this, but good to finally see Mirror in the trailer. And then a bloody hand. Not sure where this is or what's going on here. So now let me get to the vindication of all of those who've been saying Tyrion will release the dragons, as he tells Missandei dragons do not do well in captivity, and when she asks how do you know this, he replies that that's what I do, drink and I know things. And we see Tyrion approach the dragon that breathes fire. So I'm sure this is going to have many people going crazy for all the things these scenes may imply, and I think it's possible that it does imply these things, but it's also possible that people are just reading way too much into this. So first of all, I love Tyrion's line here, I drink and I know things. It's just so typically Tyrion. It's awesome. I was mentioning before that the first trailer barely featured Tyrion, but we got a lot more of him in this trailer. Anyway, this hasn't been mentioned in the show yet, but it looks like they're following the books in that Tyrion is fascinated with dragons and has read a lot about them, so arguably he may know more about dragons than Daenerys does. So it's possible he may try to tame them. If so, I think he won't suffer the same fate as Quentin Martell did, because Tyrion is a lot smarter and won't try anything foolhardy. Like, I don't think he'll go straight to setting them free. I think he will try to build a relationship with them first. Now, many, including myself, speculate that Tyrion is a Targaryen and will eventually become one of the Dragon Riders, so I'm sure many will be excited that the scene indicates that we will see Tyrion form a bond with the dragon this season. Maybe, but I don't want to get too excited because it's still way too early to tell at this stage. Could mean anything. In the past, I was very against this Tyrion releasing the dragon's theory because I thought he would be smarter than releasing two uncontrollable weapons of mass destruction on Meereen, which is why I think Tyrion is going to try to get some level of control before releasing them. But he makes a great point in this trailer that dragons aren't meant to be held in captivity. But with the scene where the dragon breathes fire at Tyrion, I don't think Tyrion's close enough to get hit by it. I think the dragons will just be warning him. I don't think Tyrion is going to, survive a blast of fire, that Tyrion is immune to fire, even if he is a Targaryen, as I don't want to get into this huge argument again about how Targaryens are not fireproof. I suppose one could argue with the Red Priestess being nearby that she might use her magic to aid Tyrion, but I really don't think anything like that is going to happen. I think it's much more straightforward than that, and the dragons just won't hit Tyrion and will be warning him. So that's it for my review of the Game of Thrones Season 6 trailer number 2. We are only 2 weeks away from Game of Thrones starting. This is really exciting. So be sure to check out my channel, as I'll be doing weekly reviews of Season 6 of Game of Thrones episodes, as well as weekly discussion videos with Abkin Tomko about each episode. And on that point, we'll be doing our first discussion video for Season 6. Next week has a pre-gaming video the week before Season 6 starts over on his channel, Abkin Tomko, which will be a live discussion this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US time zone. So be sure to join us live for that, and make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.